Webcast Media Podcast Network.
¿Cómo estamos, mi gente? Welcome to another edition of Lucha con Macho. We have a very special guest today. As you can see in the tagline there, it's a man of his word, Gabriel Baez, the IWA Explosive Division Champion. My man, it is so great to have you on the show. I'm super excited about this. It's been a long time coming. I've heard a lot about you from our mutual friend, Patty Rican himself. So, Gabe, thank you so much for joining the show. How are you?
I'm good, man. Like I gotta say, like while that intro was going on, I was doing a little dance, you know, I'm just getting all excited. You know, got myself in a good mood. It was I'm really excited for this. Like, and like people don't know this. I was actually a fan of yours before, like you asked me to be on. So I was really excited when you said, when Pat told me that you wanted me to be on. I was just like, hell yeah, without a doubt, yeah.
Yeah, man, I did not know that. That is great to hear. I really appreciate it. I mean, especially someone like you who's been in the business for a while, made your way up the ranks and stuff, to know that there's anybody in the business who, likes any of my content. It's much appreciated. I appreciate all the support and all that. And that's exactly what we're here to do. We're here to support you, man. So I see you got a nice title, a nice shiny title there.
Baby.
I know. I love it. I thank you so much for bringing it on the show as well. I mean, we couldn't get you over properly if we didn't have your hardware there with you. So
yeah, it would have been messed up if I say I'm the Explosive Division Champion. I didn't freaking bring it, so that would have been bad.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That's cool. So, hey man, I love all the stuff you have in the background. Is that all that just comic book stuff you got going on back there?
Yeah, so like obviously you can tell this is the Dark Knight. I have a 9.8 of Deadpool and Wolverine. That's actually a picture of me and my grandfather when I first started wrestling training. God rest his soul. And this is an art picture that my friend Marilyn painted for me. And obviously 75 years of Batman, 9.8 of Wolverine, and to the left slightly you'll see a artwork for the first Vigilantes comic book right there, and that's something I got to get framed up. I just still have it in the plastic, but getting a frame right now is expensive. Everything's expensive nowadays. I'm a cheap bastard.
Agreed. Yeah, man, got a penny pinch. I mean, you could penny pinch now, and then when you make it to the big leagues and you're headlining WrestleMania one day, maybe you can splurge a little bit more.
No, I'm probably gonna do the zip line that Shawn Michaels did. I'll pay for the zip line myself.
Oh, I love it. Big fan. I'm gonna pop for that. I'm gonna pop for that being such a big Sting mark and him coming down from the rafters. I think that's gonna be great. I could definitely see that. So speaking of comic books, you mentioned your grandfather and stuff like that, and you mentioned Shawn Michaels there. Like, what were some inspirations for you to be in the business?
So mainly my grandfather, and so what happened was I was coming home from school. And I was already having a rough day because I was just someone that was picked on a lot for being a big old comic book nerd and being someone that was a bit plump. I'll say that I was what you'd call skinny fat. I had a little bit of a beer belly going, and skinny arms. So I looked like basically the Grinch without hair. Yeah, like that's honestly how I saw myself. And then I came home. And my grandfather's like, Gabe, come sit down. Watch some wrestling with me. Yeah. I think he knew I was having a bad day, so he just wanted something to be my escape. And I remember it to this day. It was the very first match I've ever seen. It was CM Punk versus Seth Rollins back in 2013, 2014.
Okay.
And honestly, that match, it made me instantly fall in love. And that's like when I started watching wrestling nonstop. I actually posted it a whole bunch of times on my page. Me and my grandfather were sitting down watching Hell in a Cell while eating Popeye's fried chicken. And like, that's when I started to have love of pro wrestling. Who inspired me the most in ring wise? Like, I would actually YouTube old stuff because people talk about Stone Cold, Bret Hart.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually like Stone Cold, Bret Hart, and along the line, like probably Suicide from TNA. Because I like the old Suicide tapes would pop up because to me he looked like a superhero. So I was just like, oh, I love this guy. So I fell in love with that.
Yeah, I mean, not to peek behind the curtain. That's Austin Aries, right?
No, it wasn't Austin Aries. It was TJ. I forgot his. Oh my god, that shows I really don't know the last names of wrestlers. I just know them by their first name, TJ. But he was the first cruiserweight champion, I believe.
Okay, all right, cool. Man, that's pretty cool that you started with CM Punk and Seth Rollins. That's actually like a big feud going on right now. So you're like one of the original fans for that specific feud. I like that. That's pretty dope. When you talk about your inspirations and stuff, like where did you decide to go train then when you decided to do this, to jump into this field?
So as a kid, I wanted to be a pro wrestler when I turned 14. And so what I did is I was doing a lot of calisthenics and just running around the gym, like doing like pull-ups, sit-ups, push-ups. I started losing the beer belly, started getting some mass on the arms. But I didn't know where to start in pro wrestling. And so I just searched up wrestling schools. And lo and behold, pops up IWF in Nutley. And I'm begging and pleading with my mom, like, please, can we go? Can we go? I swear to God, it was like poking the bear. Like with my mom, she just kept giving me the devil eyes, like, no. And then fast forward to 2016, I just turned 15, and then she gets me a Christmas present. It was a Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine, but she cut a picture of me and taped, I think it was Kevin Owens' head, like put my face over his, and she goes, open it. And she goes, you're going to be the next champion when you go to wrestling school, January.
Oh, that's amazing.
And that to me, it made me very emotional. I cried because I'm actually going to follow my dream. And so then I go to IWF. I met amazing people like Mike Hammett, God rest his soul. He became like best friend in that moment. Brandon Downey, who's doing great for himself right now. The notorious Mimi. I don't know if you know who she is, but like she's like honestly, I'm so happy for her and her success. And like like those people, like they're great people and they're doing great for themselves, and I'm happy for them. And but then the school sadly shut down. And then one of the wrestlers, Izzy Reyes, he recommended Damian Adams, who trained Deonna Purrazzo, Karen Q, Tasha Steeles. And to me, that was when the real test started. Because the training alone was 10 times more brutal than doing the mat wrestling at IWF. Not discrediting any of the IWF talent and not discrediting Mike's training, because he taught me the basics. That's how I survived. But the conditioning, doing 1,000 squats before training, doing the rolls, and then doing practice matches, and then heat drills, like doing everything in a span of like 3 to 4 hour training to the point where your legs feel like jelly and you're going to throw up. And I was enjoying that for a long time. But I'm grateful for the moments there because I met people like Fred Rosser, Delirious, Cheeseburger, like the top guys in the business. And I got to train with people who succeeded in the business, like Deanna Perrazzo, Tasha Steels, and Karen Q. I forgot what her the Wendy Chu, I believe her name is. And Carissa Rivera, formerly known as Electra Lopez. And to be a part of that, to be in that training and like seeing them succeed, it motivates you to keep moving and keep going on. And that's something I'll always be grateful for. And Damien, I don't know if you're going to be watching this, but thank you for everything that you taught me.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's great, especially being able to, follow a certain path and move from one school to the next, and then obviously for them to take you on and all that stuff. So you talk about like all the calisthenics and all the stuff that you had to endure being there. I remember for me, I never thought that running the ropes was as harsh as people made it out to be. Is that like I definitely felt like Frank, like I worked at Jersey All Pro Wrestling in Bayonne, New Jersey at Charity Hall, and I remember when I trained at that school with like Little Dixie and Insane Dragon and Skinhead Ivan and guys like that. I remember when I ran the ropes, I didn't feel like it was that bad, but I felt like doing like the front flip bump, that one sucked. Like doing that like on my own, the first time I did that, I'm pretty sure like I knocked the wind out of myself trying to really show myself out because I'm in there with Insane Dragon. I'm in there with the Little Dixie, the guy who worked with the Haas brothers. I'm trying to like show myself. So for you, what was the hardest part of training?
So I will say the squats are really what get you, because keep in mind, I joined there when I was 15 going on 16. So they go, he's a young one, he needs his brain to develop. So they would make me count for everybody. So I'm the one who's counting out loud. So I'm counting, and every time we got closer to like 100 or 200, the burn in your legs, it was next level. And it honestly destroyed my legs. And then I remember my first week, Damien wanted to see if I actually did have what it takes. So he goes, Gabe, I'm going to teach you how to take a body slam. And I'm like, okay, cool. First, like, real bump ever. He slams me like 5 times. He goes, so he goes, let me know how this feels. And I go, he just picks me up and I go, hey, what? And just slams me. And then I'm just frozen on the first one. And he goes, you good? I go, yeah. He goes, you got to sell. So he slams me again and I'm selling it. But he goes, no, you got to be more explosive with it. And then on 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I'm like screaming like bloody murder. And he goes, all right, you got it. And I'm just like, and then I'm like, behind him and everybody sees me. It was like a scene in a movie. Like when the guy's doing stuff while the main character's talking behind the back. There I am, just like rubbing my back and just like moving around like like Mr. Bean, just like what the hell is going on? But yeah, that was honestly the funniest moment I remember from Team Adams.
That's cool. So did you start initially as a single superstar or a tag wrestler?
So I started initially as a singles competitor, mainly because that's how I was taught at first. Down the line, tag team wrestling became a thing. I teamed up with Damien for World of Hurt Wrestling, I believe, in 2017, 2018. And that was a cool moment. And fast forward to 2023, I formed the Vigilantes with Tonawak. And that was honestly something that I kind of had to relearn because I haven't done tags in such a long time. I've been a singles competitor for God knows how long. And it was phenomenal because Tanawak, he's like a trooper. I hope he's happy. I'm giving him like a super like over comment right now.
Yeah, you're definitely putting him over here.
Cause like he like pushes himself like crazy in the ring, and like every time when it comes to the match, he wants to take everything. He wants to, and I'm in the corner like a hype man, just typing them all up. I remember this one was possibly the greatest match we've ever done. It was me and Tanawak against Sent to Slaughter, and that's Sean Donovan and Danny Moff, and that was the greatest tag match of all time, in my honest opinion, in my career. And so I remember it was the double down, and the entrance guy, like the guy who's supposed to take our entrance gear and everything, he didn't take my water bottle.
Mm-hmm.
I see it in the corner of my eye, and I just yelled, "Screw it!" I grabbed it, uncapped it, splashed it all over my head like the Undertaker meme, and I started running around like crazy. And we go to the back. Donovan was like, "I love that you did that." And and Donovan, he's someone that's known me since I started my career, and I'm grateful to have wrestled him, especially that day, because that day was actually the anniversary of my grandfather's death, and to basically do it with people that I love and respect. That was honestly a cool moment.
That's pretty cool. You had your like Brett Favre moment. I believe he goes out and throws like 4 touchdowns a day of his father's passing and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's crazy what will do to a person, especially when you're trying to, live up to like what this person meant to you. So that's I mean, obviously it's a little bittersweet, but it's I'm happy that worked out for you and you were able to get like such a important match, especially to you, because that's also a big deal, that like how you feel about your own work. So with being a tag wrestler as well as a single superstar, what would you say is the more difficult path?
I would definitely have to say tag team, mainly because being in the Vigilantes, I always this is a team effort, and sometimes when one person, like trying to meet in the middle with the two styles, because Tanawaki does lucha, I do American style.
Yeah.
So trying to blend the two, it's like trying to blend the right colors or blend 2 flavors of ice cream to figure out if the combination's good or not.
Yeah.
It's either hit or miss. So some of the moves that we do in the ring are great. Like we do the wheelbarrow, turn it into a splash. And I forgot, we do the poetry in motion, and pretty much like famous moves from the Hart Foundation, and like basically like take nitpicks of all the great tag teams and figure out how we can do that and if we can make it better or make it as good as the original.
Yeah.
And that's something that being a tag team wrestler is about. The only thing difficult about being a singles competitor is if the person you're with is good or not, I will say. Because I've wrestled green people in the past, and it wasn't fun, especially when you're in that position, like where you're trying to help them out.
Yeah. If you'll allow me, I have like a kind of a spur of the moment question, because you mentioned green guys. So let me just ask you before we move on here. When you talk about green guys, do you believe that it is something that you would change about the current state of the way people train? Because it does feel like certain people go in and they start their wrestling journey from completely no experience, and then you see them on a card like a month into training. So is that something that you feel like is good for the workers so they can learn while they're out there, or do you feel like that is a disservice to them?
To me, I feel like it's a disservice, because no matter how talented you think you are in a month, it doesn't prepare you to do it in front of a live audience. That's why for Damien, it took him 6 months to give me my first match in Vermont. And I just turned 16, and he thought I was ready. It took me 6 months to get my first match. And that was because I had to get my footwork. I had to get in real good shape. I leaned out. I went from 180 to 165 in like the first 3 and got shredded. And when he realized that I was fully committed and I was able to do matches perfectly, that's when he thought I was ready. That's why I feel like some training schools need to take into consideration that they need to see if the guy can do it in front of a live crowd or not, or get that vibe that he can do it. That's something that not a lot of people seem to grasp lately. Yeah.
No, I mean, I love that answer. I love that, especially coming from someone like you with your stature, a champion of the business at the moment. And that's really good knowledge. Hopefully people tag on that and they're like, oh yeah, man, like this is something that he knows. And being that like we're talking about what you're able to accomplish and stuff like that, there was kind of like a little bit of a change there, because you started off as like the comic book warrior, right?
Yeah.
Now you're a man of his word. So with having the comics behind you and what comics mean to you, and I know you're through looking at some of your social media, you're really big in cosplay, which is super dope, by the way. I love all of that. Wore this Wolverine shirt just for you because I saw one of your cosplays. I was like, oh yeah, let me get that on there for him. But yeah, so why did you make the transition from something that you obviously love so much to something that it seems like it's so important to you?
So I will say this now, the comic book warrior still plays a very important role in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
That guy, I believe he kind of kicked the door in.
Mm-hmm.
But down the line, I kind of noticed that the way I was getting booked as the comic book warrior wasn't taken as a serious competitor.
Mm-hmm.
It was more comedic.
Okay.
So what really caused the snap was I was doing a show for Project, which is when we were at the Hoboken Elks Lodge. And what happened was I was in a storyline with Chris Steeler. And like, you know, he basically, I'll give Chris like a bit of a pop, but he talks a hell of a lot on the mic, and he even though when he's working, he gets under your skin.
Yeah.
And to me, it basically made me realize that like nobody's going to take me seriously if I still try and be a superhero.
Yeah.
So I actually decided to rebrand myself, but the comic book warrior still like plays a very loving role. Like literally, the people of Weehawken gave me a championship. I posted it on my page. It's a picture of me in my old gear, and there's a picture of me and my grandfather on one of the side plates. I love it too.
Oh.
And but when Steeler gave and when me and Steeler had that match, I cranked up my intensity to probably 20. I like on a scale of 1 to 10, I went 20 because I was going crazy. I was hitting them like crazy, and that's a side the fans loved.
Yeah.
And the fact that they loved it means I was doing something right. So I capitalized on that, and I go, how can I capitalize on it as the comic book warrior? And then I realized it's time to be somebody different, be something else. And when I became the man of his word to Nawak, he actually was like, that's something that should have been done a long time ago, because because he knows I could work in the ring, and to be that guy now, like that's what got me the whole attitude change.
Yeah.
To be able to work intensely, to be mean in the ring, to be aggressive, but also stay true to the person I am.
Yeah.
That's something that should have been done a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. I love how you banked on yourself. There are so many like amazing stories in professional wrestling throughout history of guys that do exactly what you did for yourself there, where they just decided at, it was just that one moment where it just clicked for them, and they were like, you know what, I'm done with this, and this is really who I am. I mean, I talked about it in our direct message conversation, like Steve Austin, his famous quote, like Steve Austin is Steve Williams with the volume turned up. Like that to me is so important for people. You mentioned earlier when you were talking about tag, you mentioned American style, you mentioned lucha. Like, what style do you prefer to work?
So I prefer do a classic American style match, because I hate to, like, as much as I love lucha, as much as I love watching lucha, I am not as nimble as all those guys that could do the rolls like that. And like, I am not that nimble. I used to do lucha. Like, there's a guy named Dylan Fabricio, I believe his wrestling name is right now. He's from Chile, and me and him did a 15-minute match together, and it was phenomenal at Team Adams. And like, but to do lucha now, especially like years later after so much wear and tear of being on the road, like that's when I kind of had to change it up. So I focused more on technical and build up.
Yeah.
Like kind of like Bret Hart, kind of like how Brad Armstrong used to do it. And like kind of like CM Punk, like styles like that I love the most, because and the match that I watched the most, if I ever do wrestle someone lucha style, it was actually The Rock versus Eddie Guerrero.
Oh, I love that match. Yeah.
Like that to me is like the perfect combination of the two. And I love watching it every chance I get. Like I remember me and Tanawak, we were actually training together and I made him watch the match and I go, what was the shine? What was the cutoff? Like basically giving him the whole list of what everything was.
Yeah. I love that, especially because like that's a little bit of a peek behind the scenes without breaking kayfabe. You know what I mean? Like you're telling people that you study as well. People think that, oh, in the wrestling business, you kind of just come in, you learn your stuff, you go out there and you take things, but you're studying a match, you're rewatching it.
Yeah.
It matters to you. And if you're working someone of a specific style, you're like, oh, I'm going to draw back to this match. Now I love that. I love the fact that you brought that in here. That's a really good thing. So
like literally my notebook's right there because I was like tape studying last night. So like I was literally just grab that and show you what match I was watching last night.
No, that's amazing. That's a really good thing there because like that's just something that's never mentioned. And I remember if you'll allow me for a second time to just kind of throw a spur of the moment thing. Me and Pat were actually talking about this, and one of the first things that he told me about you was like, he punches. He throws a punch. Oh my God, man, because that's such a big deal to us. You know what I mean? Because everybody's throwing the forearm now, and you're still throwing the punches like Bret Hart, some of the best punches in the game. Austin, Jerry Lawler, like some of these guys just had an exceptional ability to just make a punch look legit. Scott Hall, his punches look like he just whacked your whole face off. I mean, that's awesome that you study and you go back and you watch because you're not necessarily stealing their stuff.
No.
You're like learning like, oh, okay, here's where I can adapt that to my game, to add it to my bag. And I love that about you, man. I think that's great. What made you want to do that instead of just like, learning on a whim, or as they call it back in the day, like learning on the fly? What made you want to study?
To be honest, learning how to study improved my skill set because yes, you could do the moves, you could do all the moves, but to figure out how to kind of blend them all together, like how AJ Styles does his combinations or how basically how to find your comeback, to study different other wrestlers and nitpick on how they do it. Like for me, like it took me a while to figure out how I prefer to do a spine buster. Like there's those that do the twist, there are those that just slam you, and there are those that press you high, but I ain't no 7-foot giant, so I ain't pressing nobody high. So like to do that, like that's the what tape study really helps you out with, to study. And I'm not saying study the past as well, study the product today. So that, like something that not a lot of people seem to grasp. Yes, you could watch the old product, but we're in a new generation. So to study the new generation also, that's what I do. I blend the old and the new because I want to give a product that like everybody can enjoy.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Brian Brower, who worked at Jersey All Pro, he once told me, he said, you can learn from a 20-year veteran just by watching them, or someone could walk in off the street and take a bump a certain way. And that just stuck out to you in training. And you're like, oh, why don't I bump that way?
Yeah.
You can learn from literally anybody. So I think that's great. It's just like a really smart and mature way to look at the business, where it's just like, you know what? Yeah, there are these green guys and stuff like that. But, this green guy might have something he doesn't even know he has. And I can utilize what he has now because I have the experience to bring it to, to fruition. And I love that. I love that you're able to adapt that right away. Do you have a large connection with your fans working like right now? Like what would you say your biggest connection is with the fans?
So my biggest connection to my fans is that that's also where the man of his word also comes into play. And that's Comic Book Warrior also came into play. I wanted to be someone that people can look to, like in my post I did the other day for men's mental health awareness.
Yes.
It's something that not a lot of people take into consideration. Like there was a meme recently of a lady that was being loud for men's mental health, like saying, you know what I'm talking about? And like that really did annoy me because when you think about it, there are people that are struggling every day. And I'm not just talking about guys. I'm talking about women as well. And to have them go through a silent war within their own head, it's something that not a lot of people take into consideration. That's kind of what I want the man of his word to be, to be kind of like, that's why this shirt right here says, "Hear our voice." I'm a person that wants to connect with everybody. I want someone who is depressed to have someone to talk to. I want someone who's struggling to follow their dreams, to have someone to help guide them. Like, that's kind of what I want the connection to be. Like, because I want to, because let's be honest, without the fans, I would not be where I am right now.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm always going to be grateful for, because the support from the fans of independent wrestling made me the IWA Xplosive Division Champion. It made me go to Canada. It, like, to do all that. Like, that's because of them. It's because of their support, and to get and it gives you the popularity. So, like, the promoters in other places, their ears are ringing. They're like, "Hey, let's bring this guy in. Let's see what he's got." Like, without any support from fans, wrestlers today wouldn't be where they are. That's something that a lot of people don't seem to realize. Yes, you could put in the work, you could go do shows, but if the fans don't love you, if they don't feel that you mean what you say, and that's the thing with me, I mean every single thing I say. Like, when I fought TJ Marconi, I talked about for 8 years, I never held a singles title in my life. And how I had people I thought were friends, and then I had a voice in the back of my head. This was during COVID. I was thinking about quitting.
Yeah.
And that's when I was grateful for the support from people like Raymond Shaw, grateful for people like Steven Stetson, that kind of helped me stay in the ring, stay active. And, like, that's something that a lot of people need today, that they need that connection with someone, and someone to be a shoulder to cry on. Like, that's something I offer every day, because God knows what they're going through. Like, because let's use this as an example. Robin Williams, the guy who makes everybody laugh. No matter how much he made you laugh, you never realized what he was going through. And he ended up sadly taking his own life.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a real struggle. I mean, Robin's a big deal to me, and who I am as a person today, as well as Chester Bennington. Those guys mean things to me. I definitely was a big mark for Chester. Went to see him at least 13 times in concert. I was a big fan, so losing him was tough. And I love how you don't shy away from it. And what we realized is that here in 2025, it seems like a lot more males are speaking up, especially from, like, the athletic side. Like, most recently, the biggest names that we could think of is like Paddy Pimblett for the UFC. He spoke up for, like, men's mental health. And then most recently, LA Knight spoke up in WWE on a SmackDown, cut a promo talking about that, like, a men's ability to cry and things like that. And that means stuff to, like, people, like, because I struggle with certain things, and I definitely appreciate people like you that are in a great position in life where you can just, like, look back and be like, hey, we're here with you. Like, we're the same as you. And I love that. Your post the other day meant a lot to me. I showed my wife that post. It meant a lot. I definitely dug it. So appreciate that. Definitely, from one man to another. I thought that was amazing. I thought it was such a great thing that you pointed out there. You mentioned being a champion today, and you mentioned talking about, like, how you didn't hold the championship for 8 years. Was it? What does it mean to you to be the IWA Explosives champion?
To me, it really does mean a lot, because words really couldn't describe that moment, to finally hold something that you've been wanting for 8 years. And I'm grateful for everything IWA has done for me. Like, I wrestled someone who's big on the indies, like TJ Marconi, in like my second singles match there. And he gave me the rub at the end of that, and that got me emotional, because Being a singles competitor again, like I didn't know if I still had that fight. I didn't know if I still had that fire.
Yeah.
And TJ loved everything I did in that match. And Frank, he saw a lot of potential, and he said that day, like he sent me a message saying the star is now born. And and Frank, he's honestly one of the most amazing people when it comes to people in this business. He cares a lot about the talent. He treats everybody like family. And like and there's one thing that he always does. He always takes care of his family. He always makes sure that like you get taken care of. Like literally this shirt that I'm wearing right now, he helped me make. He made it possible for this design to be made. And he's the reason I was able to win a championship and hand it to my mother, who last year had a brain surgery. And like to be able to do that, and in the town I started wrestling, like that was like a full circle moment. And I tried my best not to cry, but I hate to say it, the fireworks were going, and like honestly I didn't care at that moment. And like I thank everybody for that, like everything. Like I said earlier today, I went to Weehawken High School to say thank you for all the teachers, because this represents people supporting me since day one.
Yeah.
And to go there and thank them for their support really does mean a lot. And if I ever do go to the big leagues, and praying I do, and win a title there, that I'm going to do the same thing and be thankful for everything that who supported me in the past has done for me.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. I love that. I love that you're so close to, everybody that you went back to your high school to represent them and tell them and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know necessarily that if this show becomes bigger that I would go back to Bayonne High School, but I would definitely definitely like to see some of my old teachers like Sal. I think that'd be great. How does it feel to be a champion in the industry that you've put so much like blood, sweat, and tears into?
It's like a very emotional roller coaster, because to be a champion, that means that they know that you're willing to carry. Like even after I won the belt and after all the tears were dried, I knew I had a lot more work ahead of me, and I'm willing to put it in, because to be a champion, and that's something that a lot of guys today don't seem to understand, being a champion in this business is a privilege. It doesn't mean that you're unstoppable. No. I know down the line this title is going to be given to going to be on somebody else's shoulders, but I'll be damned if I don't make this run a good one.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. So with saying that you want to give such a good run, well, like what message would you like to, share with the people that will see this interview?
In terms of challengers or just regular people?
Just regular people. Just a message from, from Gabriel Baez.
Holding this here, it means that everything that you guys have done, whether it was supporting, whether it was reaching out to indie promoters, whether it was telling them, hey, check this guy out, whether it was buying a shirt, whether buying an 8x10, just saying hi for a hug, it really does mean everything to me, because if I am not doing my job as an athlete as well as an entertainer, right, that means I should probably hang up my boots and go home. And everything that I've done for you guys, because without you, I wouldn't be the person I am today. I wouldn't be as popular as I am today. And for that, I always thank you, because you make a kid who loved this sport with his grandfather live his dream every day and night. And to do that, you have no idea what it feels like.
That's amazing. And I'll be honest with you, like here I am, a 40-year-old man, and I got to tell you, like when I was able to set foot in the ring, when I was able to wipe my feet on the apron for the first time, I remember that opened a different door for me to even be able to communicate to workers, to tell them like, I'm a student. Can you give me any of this? And I want to tell you, there are guys that just to this day I talk about that they meant so much to me. Meeting Brian Danielson in 2002 and having him like talk to me at Charity Hall, and meeting Loki, who was like the king of Jersey All Pro Wrestling. You know what I mean? That you mentioned Dan Moff and Monster Mac, like those guys, like that meant something to me. Magic, Skinhead Ivan, Little Dixie, like these guys meant something. And I know even now being able to look back and be like, they didn't know me. Like I was just a guy who was told to, sell the merch on that table for them. Like make sure that nobody takes the money out of the cash box for them. Like, hey, go get this guy a water and bring it to him backstage. Like that's all I was in the beginning, right? And to have those guys treat me like I was their peer, but at the same time to know that I was a fan first and to never look down on me, because you hear so many stories of workers that are just like, oh, that guy's a mark. Like I'm not going to treat him good and stuff like that. And yeah, there's some guys that are going to big time you, like I'm not going to mention any names or anything like that. There's definitely people that will big time you. But for the most part, having someone like you who's like so like adamant that you're going to respect people and you're going to represent people and represent yourself the right way, and just the way you speak about the people that trained you, the people that came before you, the people that opened doors for you. I mean, I got to be honest with you, man. I think this is an inspirational interview. I didn't think it was going to be that. I thought it was going to be like just just like a formal interview. But to me, I think a lot of people can draw inspiration from what this has become and what, getting a peek inside of Gabriel Baez, because to me, honestly, this is something that I feel like you can look back on and be like, yeah, this was the moment where like I was able to communicate. And I think hopefully this opens doors for you as well. So, before we get out of here, I see you got a show in July. So I mean, let's go, put yourself over. Let's get that house packed.
All right. Well, to anybody watching, if you guys want to see me defend the Explosive Division Championship, you could see it at IWA Survival Mode, July 26th. Doors open at 5. Show starts at 5:30. You could go on the Ticket Taylor link in IWA's page on Facebook, or you could message me. I'll send you the link. And I don't know who I'm facing July 26th, but all I got to say is they are going to be in for the fight of their life. I am a man of my word.
You heard it here, folks. That is Gabriel Baez. I'm Macho Rodriguez. Thank you so much for joining us, and go get those tickets. Go watch this man defend that championship. I look forward to everything that you're doing. Follow him on all of his socials. Did you want to plug your social here real quick?
Yeah. You could follow me on socials, like on Instagram and TikTok. It's not, I haven't changed it. It's still Comic Book Warrior, mainly because of the cosplays, and you'll be seeing a lot of those. You'll be seeing me as Beast, Wolverine, Batman, Superman, Aquaman. No, not Aquaman. I don't want to be lame. Anyway, be sure to go follow me, and you'll be seeing a bunch of different content.
All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much to Gabriel Baez. Thank you so much. And that championship looks great on you. And, here's to a happy, healthy run.
Thank you.
All right, guys. We're out.